Another one that have you heard of Burkle Crater? That's another one.
Yes.
Yeah, Burkle Crater, like the 20-mile hole in the bottom of the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And when is that supposed to be from?
So that was 5,000 years ago. They've dated that. It's something plopped down in the Indian Ocean, and it washed up these mega tsunamis on the coast of Madagascar and Western Australia that we can see in satellite images today. These got these like 500-600 foot high chevrons from where the water went miles inland, and they found organic material from the seabed in these chevrons, and then they date that with carbon-14 dating, and they put it right at 5,000 years ago, so 2,500 around that time BC, which is actually a really interesting date when you consider some of the, I guess, the publications that we rely on in our modern civilization today. The Bible, the Old Testament, wasn't written long after that, and if you think about where the Indian Ocean is, that could have been the source of the biblical flood. Like that would have washed up north into the Persian Gulf, flooded the hell out of that whole region.
It's just crazy that it's happened so many times.
That's what they say.
We like to think of history as being this linear thing. We started out as cave people,
That's
and then
right.
we branched out from Africa all across the world,
And that's the end of it.
And kept learning. And here we are today with cell phones. But no, it's we've been rocked like multiple times, many times, and there's real solid evidence. The Antarctica one, how old do they think that is?
I don't recall on that. I have to double check that. I'd have to do a Google, Jamie. And
So researchers have discovered a crater 1.5 kilometers beneath the Antarctica ice crust, 482 kilometers in diameter. 482 kilometers in diameter. Holy shit.
What is that
Probably
to miles?
dates back to a meteorite impact 250 million years ago. Wow. Okay, so that's an old one.
That's like an order of magnitude bigger than anything related, even with the Younger Dryas. I mean, that's
Bigger than the dinosaur one, right?
Yeah, that's like a 99 point whatever % extinction event.
So it's
something
just
that big.
it just keeps happening. The Earth just over millions and millions of years and thousands of years that humans have been around. The Earth just keeps getting whacked.
The evidence is so overwhelming. In say going back to the Younger Dryas period of time, there's evidence when you say get whacked. More than 30% of all landmass at that time was charred, burned. They claim that it's more fires than existed in the time of the dinosaurs. Now, I don't know if that's an article I read on Science Alert. I don't know if they can truly prove that, but if nothing else, 30% of all landmass existing today was burned and scorched to death at that period of time. That like helps people to wrap their heads around like this. The world was on fire.
Yeah, that's the Younger Dryas, Matt. They estimate as part of the burning, and because there was floods and fire, and this correlates to a lot of origin myths from cultures all around the world. But yeah, 10% of the biomass, I think, so 9 to 10% of the, which is an inconceivable number. That's how much of the world was burnt, and that's now embedded in this black
10% of the biomass.
Yeah,
it's so crazy that there's like literally a dark line.
Yeah, in the ground
that shows where everything was on fire for a long fucking time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
crazy.
We barely survived it. We now have a correlation of not only population reduction, but a significant drop in like genetic diversity as a result. Like it's tied to the Younger Dryas. There's been a few good studies recently done at that. So we were one of the megafauna the 50% of megafauna at the time that actually survived and got through that event.
How do they think people survived? Is there any speculation? And where did we survive? Like where was the good spot?
I think caves. I think a lot of it would have been underground. And I think they may have even known. Like I think there's some evidence to suggest that some of these, like Derinkuyu in Turkey, in the Cappadocia region could host tens of thousands of people. There's massive labyrinths all over Egypt, beneath Saqqara. There's miles and miles of tunnels and catacombs. I've been down into a bunch of them. And even when you look at sites like Göbekli Tepe, there's been some interpretations of the artwork on that site that seems to indicate a cosmic calendar. Like they're almost marking that date. We know that the ancients were watching the sky. Like they were concerned about it. And comet mythology is a fantastic topic for Randall. I talked with him about this quite a bit. The comet, it wasn't seen as a pretty thing in the sky. Like it was the harbinger of doom. Like comets and all those types of things were just seen as really bad things that they were preparing for. But I think we survived partly because of diversity and being spread out all around the world. There were parts of the world that weren't as badly touched, like Australia, for example. That whole continent wasn't as badly affected as, say, the Northern Hemisphere was from the Younger Dryas. But also caves, 100% caves and sheltered caves. Those big cities that they could take tens of thousands of people underground.
Yeah.